touchdown passes last year. This one's knocked up. Bowers tips it to himself, and he'll score.
Snaps it anyway. Greer lobs it in the air. Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Jackson, and he scores on the left. Here's a blitz, and Holmnick didn't see it coming. He got blasted by Kalen DeLoach, who has the ball and is heading toward the end zone.
What is going on, guys? We are back. It is episode 44 of College Football Talk with Hunter and Dylan. We are here on the eve of week 9, but we have tonight, as always, week 8 recap. It's our recap show here on this fine Tuesday night.
Beautiful Tuesday night.
Beautiful Tuesday night, as you can see in the background if you're watching on YouTube, as you should. We got the Diamondbacks on for my enjoyment because he can't see it. Dylan can't see it.
I can see it. Actually, I can see it looking at my own screen.
Well, I have a direct shot, so if it looks like I'm not paying attention, it's because there's a baseball game on and the Phillies are about to get eliminated. Hopefully. Not jinxing anything. Said hopefully.
Yep.
Anyway, we had a jam-packed show for you tonight. We got a bunch of games to recap. What is happening with some teams?
Yes.
Saturday scares in Michigan. Well, also we got overreactions, winners and losers of the week. So big time show planned for you guys today. And let's get right into it. Oh, forgot to say, as always, make sure you guys are subscribing.
Yes.
Picked up a couple subscribers the past couple of weeks, so we need to get that number up more, guys. 64 is where we're at now. We need to get to 100. 100 by the end of the year. 100 by the end of the year. Remember, we said we get to 100, Dylan shaves his head, so we're all good.
Okay, all right. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Let's get that. Come on. We got that. Yeah, there's to paint his face like a war paint, something like that, or he's got to shave his head. So one of the other. Maybe both.
We'll have a vote. We'll have a vote. We'll let you guys decide.
It'll just be a supreme decision by me. So, anyway.
Okay.
Make sure you guys are watching on YouTube, though, hitting that like button and watching and following along on Spotify. Subscribe to both.
Yes.
Awesome. Views have been up tremendously, which is outstanding. And duration is up as well, which was awesome because that means you guys are actually watching.
Yes.
So that's awesome too. And keep doing what you're doing. But subscribe if you haven't already. All right. We are going to hop right into it. Actually, before I do you want to start with recap? I forgot what we said. Or do you want to start with Michigan?
Start with the Michigan. We're going to start
with Michigan. So we're going to start with Michigan because a lot has come out today regarding all this drama and scandal going on in Ann Arbor. So let's backtrack it some. So about a month ago or so, they got in trouble Harbaugh got in trouble. A month and a half, 2 months ago, probably, I think it was. He got trouble. No. Yeah, it was right before the season. I am completely.
Nope, you're good.
Harbaugh got in trouble for a recruiting violation for cheeseburgers, buying kids cheeseburgers.
Yes.
And this is before NIL, so he got caught with that. And now it wasn't as bad as it was. I think he's going to he suspended himself the first 4 games against Cupcake, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Fast forward now, there was a scandal, or I don't even know if scandal, but a report that had come out that a Michigan assistant coach was being paid pretty much to go and videotape, go to other future opponents of Michigan's and record signs. Now, you might be saying, okay, well, a lot of teams steal signs, but you don't go to the extent that Michigan has reported to have gone. Their assistant coach, Connor Stallions, was believed to have bought tickets to more than 30 Big Ten games over the past 3 seasons.
Yep.
He These are all future opponents. This stretches back to 2021 up until now. Up until now, had 2 tickets for this past week's Ohio State Penn State game. One ticket on either side of the field, depending on, and all they would do is he would just go and record, but he would record, what their signs were, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's pictures that have come out saying that, or looking from like last year's Ohio State game where he has a fully laminated sheet of, like, if you zoom in, it's signs, like almost like human figure, like you see like the bathrooms, but they're doing signs. And then like there's a quick little snippet video of like Ohio State looking over the side to audible, and all of Michigan's players and coaches look up and they like start pointing like signaling something. And here, so this was a report of Pete Thamel from the Michigan staffer Connor Stallions bought tickets for more than 30 games at 11 Big Ten schools over the past 3 years. Also, video evidence of sideline taping is expected to be sent to the NCAA this week, caught by stadium surveillance this year. He also was caught, believed to have been bought tickets to schools outside of Michigan as well, or the Big Ten, including Tennessee, Bama, and Georgia. Forgot TCU. And a cool little stat before I let Dylan give his shebang. So if you're looking at a pure odds-making standpoint, Michigan against the spread from 2015 to 2020, 32-38-1 they were against the spread. 2021 till present day, 23-11-2. Against Big Ten opponents in that same stretch, 18-5-2. 21 to 23. Before that, they were 25-25-1. So obviously something was up. There's videos of Greg Schiano earlier this year being asked in a halftime interview about what's
up with his team? Why does his team seem off?
He says like something's up. Like he's not going to talk about it on air, but like there's something up. They got to address it in the locker room. That shouldn't be happening. They figured it out. Like all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'll let you. That's pretty much all we know right now. I've looked at all the other stuff's the same. But that's wild. Like stealing signs one thing, but like what they're believed to have done is something completely.
It's like beyond. It's beyond just.
Oh yeah.
It's an organized, systematic level of spying on teams.
It's insane.
I mean, the fact of the matter is we have evidence that somebody on Michigan's payroll for a substantial amount of time was not only going to future opponents' games, but he was going and recording their sidelines.
Yeah.
There's video evidence of this happening. There's internal evidence that this happened. There's, without a shadow of a doubt, to a degree, this happened. The question is going to be, whenever this all gets sorted out, is what happened to the Michigan football program.
It's not. I mean, you could honestly look at it too. Like, there's a lot of ways to look at this. It's like, was he being forced by guys higher up than him, like Harbaugh, coordinators?
Harbaugh, or
how much was Harbaugh involved in this? Obviously, he had to be involved in something, but like, was he directly threatening? Where you lose your job otherwise, like kind of like blackmailing him, like you got to do this for us. I mean, it's one thing again, like it's one thing, as Brooks Austin tweeted earlier. It's the grossest and most obvious cheating scandal I've ever seen. It's not even. It's one thing to maybe do something to stretch the lines to get good players in recruiting. It's another thing to cheat and get outcome a sports game.
Yeah.
I mean, you are severely getting an advantage over another team from this. Like you put a team like, let's say Minnesota. They crushed Minnesota. Not saying Minnesota would have beaten them anyway, but you put them already in a hole that they were already a 20-something underdog. But like
underdog,
you force a team to they can't make adjustments. You're not able to audible or anything.
Yep.
Because if you audible, they still know. So everything that you use as like a way to try to maybe like make a different route or shortcut, they can't do it because they already know. They already have the
Yeah,
leg. So you already put them at a bigger disadvantage against teams you don't even need to do it against.
like Rutgers,
Rutgers, Minnesota,
Mhm.
Northwestern, Michigan State, like you don't
Iowa.
need
Like
to do it against them.
these aren't. Yeah, it's just like it's so blatant and obvious too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not even like it's Spygate. This what they did was they more or less committed what the New England Patriots committed in Spygate. The difference, I think, is
That
that
was like at training camps though, I think.
that was a training camp thing, and they weren't as blatantly stealing information.
No.
It was a lot more. We were stealing like not hand signs or signals or any of that stuff. The Patriots were stealing like they were watching plays so that they could see how plays would run, which by its own rules is against the NFL rules, but it's not as egregiously against the rules as this is
Mhm.
because they were using it so before a play would happen, they know what play is being called, so they already know how to blow up a play, which explains how their defense, no offense, but out of nowhere their defense clicked.
No.
They had
Oh yeah.
problems for years.
I
It,
mean, if you their 2020 season, they went
mhm.
2-4. They've only played what 6 or 8 games. They went
They played
two.
6 games, yeah, because they canceled Ohio State. They canceled
They went two and
MSU.
four, I believe.
Hmm.
It was a really bad record.
Yep,
And then fast forward a year, and you're in the playoff.
yep.
I'm
And it
not saying
makes, I mean, obviously we're not saying that they couldn't have done that without that, but
you give yourself like almost like a free head start, almost.
yeah. And not only that, but it just all the pieces make sense too. You know, Jim Harbaugh takes a pay cut. He's on thin ice with his own alma
Has to get a
mater.
winning season.
He has to do something to prove that he belongs there. What does he do? Oh, let's get the biggest advantage possible.
It's like sneaking into like the school to find the teachers like classroom or something. Find
Hmm.
like sneaking into the offices to get the tests,
Yeah,
to get the test scores and answers and stuff like that. So like you already
hmm,
know in advance.
yeah.
That's kind of like that's exactly kind of like what happened
That's what they
here.
did. That's what they. Yeah. I personally, I don't know how you feel. I think they're going to get punished pretty badly by the NCAA.
What I was going to ask
Hmm.
you this right before we recorded, but you wanted to wait. What
Yeah,
do you do? Because I feel like stripping teams of wins, and
I
like
think it's going to happen.
that's see, like, but like that's just not enough. I think a bowl
No,
it has to be in
yes. So
order.
what I think we're going to get similar to what USC got after the Reggie Bush stuff. I think the NCAA is going to investigate them. The NCAA really right now feels like they lack power too, so they're going to make an example out of Michigan.
Hmm.
The kind of a don't mess with us anymore. Stop it. You know we got pushed around a little bit with the NIL stuff, but my prediction is that they investigate Michigan. They find Michigan guilty for lack of control. They're going to say Jim Harbaugh didn't have control of his own program, and we'll probably see the wins from 2021, 2022, and 2023 vacated at a minimum.
But what does that serve? What does that send though?
Um, Probably nothing but to make Michigan upset to the fact that they're losing their lead over Ohio State for wins all the time.
Mm.
It's just to hurt the school. That's all the whole point of vacating wins is just to hurt the school and the legacy behind it.
Yeah.
But then they'll probably get a 3-year bowl ban,
Hmm.
a scholarship reduction too, which will probably be the biggest thing that will hurt them.
They got it. I bowl ban and like scholarship reductions got to be like the top of the list.
That's the thing think happens. So I think there's a chance Jim Harbaugh can get in trouble, but to be completely honest with you, I don't think he stays long enough for that to happen.
So yeah, that's another thing. It's like
Mhm.
he's gonna like sneak out before this even gets anywhere.
Yep, he's gonna pull Pete Carroll. I think he
Yeah.
knows the writing is on the wall now. He
Oh
knows,
yeah,
oh,
he's in trouble.
he knows he's like, okay, they know what we've done. They're putting everything together right now because of silly mistakes. Because I think if he doesn't get in trouble for the hamburger thing, right?
Hmm.
I don't think this happens. I don't think they get investigated for any of this stuff. But I think the fact that there was one thing the NCAA was already kind of upset with them about when I think they said it was Maryland and Rutgers, or was it Minnesota and Rutgers? I know it was Rutgers and somebody else filed a notice to the Big Ten
Yeah, there were
about something.
multiple schools, I think even stretching back to last year, had
Yeah.
filed complaints about
Mhm.
something suspicious stuff that had been going on with the Michigan program.
Yeah.
And I don't,
I
it just
I don't think
wasn't
the
till
NCAA cares if
no,
this stuff didn't happen beforehand.
yeah, but yeah, like you said, I don't think if
Mhm.
something doesn't happen, that hamburger situation, maybe you don't think it's happening right now.
Yeah.
At least maybe wait till the end of the year. But like now
That's
that
a
kind of like you kind of
Mhm.
like you already revealed like a location almost like
Mhm.
you're like a criminal that kind of like forgot to clean up like one spot of your
Yeah.
crime, and they can just kind of start tracking you back to wherever.
Because I think
That's what they're using right now.
I talked to some Ohio State fans the day the first information came out, and they were like, "Well, are we still going to play this year?" And I'm like, "Look, an NCAA investigation takes years, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to reach a verdict by November 20th, 5th. You guys
Mhm.
will still be playing. I think Michigan will probably still win that game, but give it a year from now, we're going to get the Michigan is done statement from the NCAA."
You will see a definite. It'll be a very it's kind of
Is
sort of like the domino effect. We'll
mhm.
see how it's really like what when one falls, how many more follow after that.
It's really just going to come down on how badly does the NCAA want to set an example for Michigan.
We'll see. I mean, there's
I
plenty of
think they're going
examples.
to set a serious
They're
example.
gonna do something. It'll be something
Mhm.
that happens, I think, after this year.
Yeah, me too.
All right. We're gonna move on. We'll have to be keeping up with that for sure. So
Yes.
but we're gonna get now into some game recap.
Hmm.
So we're gonna start with the biggest game that was of the week. It was a top 10 matchup, Penn State, Ohio State, the first
Hmm.
of the round robin between Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan.
Hmm.
And so this was like round one.
Yeah.
And a very boring game. I'm all for a defensive battle. I
I
am.
don't even think this was really a defensive
I am
battle,
all
to be
for
honest with you.
defensive battle. I'm all for an offensive shootout.
Hmm.
This was just poor play calling, shy play calling, not letting people do what they wanted to do.
Hmm.
And it was just a lot of like scared
Yeah.
playing. It was like neither team wanted to almost like reveal a hand or like make the first mistake, which
Hmm.
is fine. It was just a very slow, methodical, kind of just pretty boring game.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot have happened. The biggest thing that happened ended up really not mattering and didn't even really happen. It was a Ohio State was driving,
Yep.
and it was first half, still late second quarter, I believe, maybe early third. I think it was
Hmm.
late second, and Ohio State's driving, and I think it was third down. Penn State strips Kyle McCord. It gets picked up, returned for a touchdown. It looks like the Nittany Lions got the big break first,
Yeah.
and then it gets called back for defensive holding because Marvin Harrison just completely blew this guy off the ball, and then he got held. So got held,
Hmm.
pulled back, ended up kicking a field goal after. Oh no, they scored a touchdown right
Yeah.
after. So, and I mean after that, it ended up being Penn State cut the lead to 8. It was 20-6. Um,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It was 20-6 late in
Hmm.
the fourth, and Penn State scored. You know, a very it just shows. I think the biggest thing it shows is that Ohio State's now capable of doing something they weren't able to in years past under Ryan Day, and that's win a game. This is the second game they've won this year when they've scored 20 or fewer points.
Hmm.
They did it against Notre Dame. They've done it now against Penn State, and what they've done now is shown that they can win a game when they can outmatch you in physicality and they can
Yeah.
just win it on the defensive side of the ball.
Hmm.
And that's a big step for this team that really struggled last year, even with Jim
Yeah.
Knowles there, like just really struggled. They're not allowing
Yeah.
any deep shots down the field. Penn State's not calling deep shots. Maybe they don't. To be fair, and I'll take this one step at a time. So I'll start with Ohio State. Ohio State, they play a new defensive stand where they put one safety back, so they keep the deep ball in check because now there's always one guy floating around. Vice versa, Penn State doesn't really have that X factor wide receiver. They don't have that wide receiver one. So I don't think it's Drew Aller. They're nervous of Drew Aller. I think it's more that they don't have a playmaker that can make a difference and get down the field like that and stretch the field where he can be a Marvin Harrison, where he can just completely take over or draw 2 or 3 guys near his way to open up someone on the other side of the field that's wide open. Penn State's missing that. Ohio State showed again. I think I still don't trust Kyle McCord. Didn't do anything really. He went 22 of 35, 286 and touchdowns, but he did what he needed to do. Marvin Harrison had a career day. But, when you have Marvin Harrison on your team, you don't have to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
If I told you neither team ran for over 100 yards, but that ended up not being the case. Ohio State rushed or threw for 286. Penn State threw for $191. Biggest thing, I think, honestly, Penn State 1 of 16 on third down. Here's your stat line. They were 0 of 12 late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's just, you can't do that if you want to win on the road. You know what I mean? But yeah, just a very physically boring game. It was.
Yeah.
It was a very overhyped
No,
game.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that of that 12 o'clock slate, it was probably somehow the weakest game. Just from a viewership point, it was just like, man.
Well, actually,
hope this game ends.
Missouri or Mississippi State and Arkansas might want to counter that, but
you know what? You got me there. I forgot that even happened.
Yeah.
That's how bad that game was.
Yeah, it was 7-3. I think that game finished, and I think Ohio State and Penn State were still starting the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's how fast the game went and how awful that one was.
You know what, though? Credit to Lane Kiffin on that one. He won a game with defense.
Lane Kiffin, that's not Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin played that night and won in Auburn.
You're right.
You're thinking of,
I'm thinking Mississippi State.
Yeah, you're thinking of Zach Arnold or Zach Arnett.
Yes.
I think that's the wrong name. I'm going to double check that. What do you think about this game?
Ohio State, Penn State, I think it showed us two things to me, is that Ohio State is legit. They're good on both sides of the ball. Obviously, this wasn't an offensive explosion for them today, but we've seen it enough this year to where we can go, okay, well, they can score on almost any team. But this game, they also showed defensively, they have they have the guys to step up and make a difference. And I think the number two thing we saw is that James Franklin will never be able to take Penn State to the next level.
So, it's just so weird with him because it's like people that say he's overrated.
He's not overrated.
So he's not overrated, and that's the thing. It's like he's where he is. He is what he is. He's a guy that will get you 9 to 10 wins every couple of years. He'll be a consistent program, and
the best
he's
way
gonna
to
win
describe him.
He'll win the games that they're supposed to win and lose the games right now that they're supposed to lose. If you look at it currently, just you could say, okay, how many times has he been favored against Ohio State and Michigan?
Never. I don't think he's ever been favored.
One time he was favored, and that was against Michigan, and they won that game. Other than that, I think they have been not favored.
Yes.
And they have lost.
I don't think he's an overrated head coach. I do think if you're a Penn State fan, you have to come to terms with the fact that he is a perennial 10-2 coach.
Yeah.
He will not win the Big Ten. You're not winning the Big Ten. Well, he's won the Big Ten once. Right?
And
but that was
the 1 year.
I think Ohio State still went to the playoffs. So.
Yeah, they got completely robbed.
But he's not gonna take it to the playoff in the 4-team format. The 12-team, that's the thing that's really going to help Penn State, in my opinion. But you kind of have to come to terms with this, that if you want to win a national championship, you're going to have to move on from James Franklin.
See, but
He can
he's like,
recruit well. He can coach
he does all the
fine,
stuff.
but
I mean, he wins the games he's supposed to win. That's a good question to ask Penn State fans, because it's like, how
badly do you want to win a national
how badly
championship?
are you content with this?
Yes.
Do you? I mean, or if you're fine with it, you're fine with it. He could say he's like Lane. It's like Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin's going to get you 8 to 10 wins at best.
Yeah.
You're not going to compete ever for the SEC. Maybe this year. This year they're looking snazzy this year.
This is their year to do it. If they want to do it.
But typically, you are who you are. There's usually something holding your teams back.
Yeah.
And that'll always be there. For Kiffin, it's defense. For Penn State, it's always having that difference maker at quarterback and those and someone on the outside, some sort of threat on the outside.
Make your defense respect your receivers.
Yeah, I mean, they have great linebackers, great
they haven't had
offensive
it since
linemen. Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah, I forgot about Freiermuth. But what I was gonna say is they really haven't had a lot of guys since then. Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, Freiermuth. Those are guys. Those were years ago.
Jawan Johnson was there.
Come on.
Listen, I'm just rattling guys. Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, no, Saquon Barkley.
Miles Sanders.
On the outside.
I mean, in general. I mean, when was the last time? I mean, Nick Singleton and who's their other guy? Nick Singleton and Katron Allen are great running backs, but each of them combined for 18 carries and 74 yards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not really anything crazy. Kudos to, like I said, I think the main thing here is, before we move on, Ohio State's defense, really good.
Yeah.
Penn State's defense, really good. Ohio State had 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. Penn State had 9 tackles for losses, 2 sacks. So both really good. Penn State, I think, is fine.
Yeah,
they are. I still think they have I think they can still beat Michigan because they get them at home. It's going to be a different game because Michigan doesn't have a Marvin Harrison. They still are kind of just like they just have guys on the outside. They don't have dudes. So I think they'll stack up a little bit better there.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you think about it, if let's say Marvin Harrison's on Penn State wins that game. Marvin Harrison won that game for Ohio State pretty much. Because he was able to just, when it was thrown to him, he caught it and he was able to make a difference. So, all right. We're going to move on, though.
We spent a little bit too much time on that one, but.
We'll get back here. So, we'll move on to Utah, the USC Killers, the Trojan Killers. Utah wins 34-32, walking it off against USC. It was a dramatic ending where USC came back. They were down big. Scored with a little over 2 minutes left in the game. Utah goes down the field with Bryson Barnes, who just played an outstanding game.
Yeah.
He, Cam Rising officially ruled out for the rest of the year, so it's going to be Barnes' show.
Yes.
But listen, when you have a run game that did what they did to USC the other night, that's all you need to do.
Yeah, I would say it's not
that's
the end of the world.
That's all you had to do. Caleb Williams, another lackluster performance. Didn't even have a touchdown. Bryson Barnes, 14-23, 235 yards, 3 touchdowns. Biggest story, though, for me was Utah. Ready for these ones? Had 247 yards on the ground. They averaged 5 yards a carry. USC, 145 on the ground, averaged 6 yards a carry. But Caleb Williams, 256 yards. I mean, Bryson Barnes was right there, 235. At Utah averaged 3 more yards per pass. And realistically, if USC doesn't have that pick six, if Utah doesn't throw a pick six late in the second half, the game's not even as close as it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, just the defense stinks. The defense stinks. It let them down again.
Mm-hmm.
And Caleb Williams, I don't know if all the drama that happened from last week and just come in, you think maybe it's a good spot. I don't know why people thought that, because Utah is back-to-back Pac-12 champs.
Yeah.
Most consistent team, one of the most consistent teams you'll find in college football each and every year. And here they are again. The Kings of the Pac-12 win again.
Mm-hmm.
They remain their only loss is in conference play. It's their 3-1 in conference play. I'm going to pull up the standings real quick. Utah is currently fifth right now in conference. They're tied with Oregon State.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so Washington and USC right now are the top two teams. But listen, that conference is wide open. I mean, there's still some big-time games. Oregon and Utah clash this weekend, which is a huge game. Game day will be there. Lot to prove still. Any thought real quick about this?
I mean, the thing that comes to mind right away is it's just a coaching failure scoring that quickly at the end of the game for USC. I think if they could just slow it down a little bit there.
Slow it down.
You win this game.
Or
you had the ability to turn that last drive into the last possession of the game. And you guys did not. For no reason.
And then how about just play some defense? I mean, Bear Alexander gets ejected for targeting on the last drive. Extends the drive. He had some crucially stupid penalties.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bryson Barnes with 2nd and 15 with 15 seconds left or something, just runs down for 27 yards or something like that. I think there was 20-something seconds left. Crazy stuff, just heroic, and then a little chip shot to win it.
Mm-hmm.
I said they were going to win.
Yeah, you did. I was wrong.
When's that shirt coming?
I don't know. I got to check it again.
Yeah,
I didn't check it because I'm
scared, folks. You're supposed to be wearing a Notre Dame shirt.
I am. I'm wearing a.
If you're USC, before we move on, is the season dead? Do they just I mean, how much is there? I mean, realistically, they can compete for the Pac-12 title game.
Yeah.
I still think this team's going to lose at least one or two more games.
That's the thing. I just don't know, because
they still have Oregon, they still have Washington, they still have UCLA, and you still have Cal. So if you thought Utah was a nice little setup spot by getting them at home, you're wrong. You get Cal this week.
Mm-hmm.
Are they on a bye this week? They're not.
I think they get Cal this week, yes, because I think they already had their bye.
Yeah, so you get Cal this week, and then you get Washington at home. So you get that, and then you got to go to Eugene before then you take a pit stop to round out the year with UCLA. So it's nothing but trouble.
Not an easy schedule. Not an easy schedule for
not at all.
The Trojans of Southern California.
Road is long and not over yet for them.
Yeah.
We will move on though. And this was the primetime game of the week. It was FSU Duke. 38-20 was the final. FSU struggled throughout, I think. Well, I don't say struggle. I'll backtrack. I'll say just got their hands full with a really good defense. Duke. And they were down 20-17. The turning point of the game. 20-17, Duke has the ball inside the Florida State 15, I think.
Yeah.
Riley Leonard re-aggravates his ankle.
Yep.
Gets taken out of the game. Duke decides to go for it with a backup true freshman in.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it on 4th down instead of electing to kick it to go up 6.
Yeah.
They go for it. They don't get it. Is what it is. You're playing on the road. Why not?
Yeah.
Riley Leonard continuously, they show him trying to come back into the game. He's running, trying to talk to the coaches and the athletic training staff. They won't let him in.
Yeah.
Okay. From that point on, I want to try to look up when that point on Duke gets I know what I'm talking about, but that point on in that game, I think that was late third.
Yep.
Late third, Florida State who was down 20-17, outscores them. What is that? 21 nothing.
Yes, 3 straight
Finishes
touchdowns.
the game on a 21 nothing run.
Mm-hmm.
Wins, pulls ahead, gives
Yeah.
Mike Elko his first loss by more than a touchdown.
Yes, more than one score. Yep.
Granted, though, was out there starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it was like one of those spots where, it was like FSU was like a shark and just kind of smelled blood in the water.
Yeah.
Sensed there was a
Yeah.
weak spot
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of just flipped the switch out of
Yeah.
nowhere. You saw the result of that mixed with offensively for Duke not getting anything going, which meant more time defense spent on the field.
Yeah.
Which then meant that you just get worn down. Is what it is. You get overmatched at that point.
Now, I do want to say a couple things, just because I've seen a lot of commentary about this game specifically about if Riley Leonard stays in the game, Duke wins.
Yeah.
I still don't think so. I mean, if you look at the score, Duke scored 13 points on offense, 10 points with Riley Leonard.
I think it was
it wasn't. He didn't play
I think it
spectacular
was,
in this game.
but it was the way they were able to. He was able to run the offense. It was the control of the clock, keep FSU off the field, make plays when they need to. Even when they didn't score, they were able to kill clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were able to keep drives going.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
understand that. My thing is that Florida State scored 21 straight because if you look back at that point where Riley Leonard got hurt and went out of the game, right?
yeah.
Do you think they go for it and get it with Riley Leonard there?
I mean,
he was, by the way, his numbers, he was
maybe,
9 for 16, 68 yards and an interception, no passing touchdowns.
but I mean, they were running the ball all over Florida State.
They chose not to run the ball on fourth down.
That I don't know. Well, I mean,
they chose to pass the ball.
It was 4th goal though, so you couldn't have picked up a first there.
Yeah.
I mean, you ran the ball. He only threw for 76 yards pass.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't like Riley Leonard was blowing up Florida State's.
You know what I mean? No, like
defense.
it just feels like like you lose your leader.
Yeah.
And it's just like a gut punch on the sideline. Like you just kind of lose all momentum or whatever you had.
Yeah.
Like whenever if Jordan Travis goes out, you know what I mean? Like it's just if the vibe's different. Vice versa, though, I will say real quick.
Yeah.
They go for it. They don't get it. Okay, so what? Florida State, kudos to them and full respect to them. Mike Elko says, okay, we don't get it.
Yeah.
We got a really good defense. Trust the defense. Florida State still has to go, it was like 90-something yards?
It was like 94 yards,
94 yards or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You get at that point, you tip your cap and you say, that just happened. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is that, like, I think Florida State found an obvious mismatch where Duke could not cover Jakeem Bell. Yeah. There was a complete mismatch there. I mean, they were handing it off to him. They were passing it to him. They were getting him the ball every other moment there just because he was just a mismatch on their defense. And then when you were able to get Jordan Travis running the ball too, I think it was just too much for Duke at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say, it was, because they were worn out, but I think it was more later they got worn out. But that 94-yard drive where it was, they gave it to Jakeem Bell and then Jordan ran it for 6-7 yards, right? They found something there that Duke just could not cover.
I honestly think that a turning point, an early turning point as well, like as far as just momentum goes, was Duke. Was it the scoop and score? They scoop and score Travis Hunter.
Jordan Travis.
Yeah, Jordan Travis.
Pick six.
Travis
it was a pick six.
Yeah, pick six. They go up 17-7. It's like it's all Duke at that point.
Yep.
The kickoff following that is a return touchdown.
Yes.
It's like Florida State just immediately snatched it back. And then Duke threw a pick. Florida State got a field goal, tied it up. Duke got a field goal, went to half. But from that point on, Duke's drives went punt, downs, end of the game.
Yeah.
Whereas Florida State second half went punt, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Yep.
That touchdown, 14 plays, 96 yards, 7 plays, 74 yards, 5 plays, 32 yards. Just complete gut punches to that Duke.
Even with the argument that Duke's defense is worn down, I mean, they're still a great defense.
Oh, very good defense.
I mean, and Florida State didn't play bad in
they
that first
came in
half, I
ranked
don't
top
think.
5 in defense for a reason. I mean, they played really good defense.
I think it just took a little bit. I mean, Jordan was kind of forcing it to Keon Coleman there for a little bit too, with some of those like that pick 6 was just a bad read there to Coleman, where he doesn't get it. It juggles in the air, gets picked off back to the for a touchdown. But I mean, I think either way, with Ryan Leonard, without Ryan Leonard, I still think Florida State wins that game just because I think they were the more physically dominant team.
Yeah,
they just had the better weapons.
I thought it was going to be a closer game. I don't know how Duke didn't cover that line. It looked like they were going to cover.
I was like, oh, good teams win, great teams cover.
And they completely just kind of let it go at the end. Let's go, big time. I put it on my phone right here, like without sound. Oh, let me just watch it real quick. I just want to see the glory as all Philly dies tonight.
Yeah.
Rangers Diamondbacks. Who had that as your World Series prediction?
Hey, that's crazy, man. I don't even think those teams were playoff predictions.
That's why you got to play 162 for that reason.
Yes.
All right. I think it's ready time to move on, though.
Yes, yeah. We're 40 minutes in. We got to get through this.
I think we're back to a decent pace a little bit. I mean, we got a couple more games here. We got through this. We got Bama comes back, first of all, against Tennessee 34-20, but they also do get, I don't know what you call it, revenge, but they bounce back after last year's loss at Tennessee with a tale of two halves, as it's been all year for Bama, where they struggle like hell in the first half.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they come out like a wild banshee in the second half and just completely dominate. The third quarters, they were one of the highest scoring third quarter teams in the country. They just come out of the half and just completely take over. Defensively, they do. They just shut you down, and then they come out on offense, hit a couple big plays, and get back. If they were trailing, they cut the lead. If they're winning, they'll extend the lead. And that's kind of what happened today. I mean, Saturday, Tennessee was up big early. It was a great touchdown by Squirrel White. Joe Milton was making some throws, and it looked all good. They score right before the end of the half. It's like, 20-7.
Pass there too.
20-7. Tennessee's up. Like, Bama's in trouble
good.
again.
They were throwing the ball all over the field too. I think that was the thing that was shocking me.
Bama's in trouble again, guys. I mean, and then all of a sudden it was like clockwork, or just I don't even know what you would call it. Bama outscores Tennessee 27-0 second half. I mean, 2 deep shots by Milrow, and then a strip sack, scoop and score fumble, which unfortunately I had the under in the game, and that ended up being the backbreaker. Is what it is there. Anyway, a lot of Tennessee fans will point to this big stat: 8 penalties for 55 yards. Bama, 1 penalty for 5 yards.
It was bad. I will say I did watch a good amount of the
officiating.
Some of those officials, those were some questionable calls.
Some of it was a little questionable, but
I don't think Bama won because of officiating.
No, Bama was the better team in this game.
Yeah,
Tennessee,
absolutely,
completely just got neutralized in the second half, regardless of officiating or not. Just stagnant. I mean, I don't know how you go from being on just looking like you're going to world beaters in the first half to just don't know what to do on offense in the second half. I mean, looking at the stats here, I mean, they rushed for 133 yards. I mean, they're a rushing team. Milton threw for 271, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. I will say, when Joe Milton's, though, your leading rusher on the day, it's probably not the best thing in the world. I'm just saying.
He did run the ball well, though. To
be fair, a lot of those, though, were also third downs. Like, a lot of just extending the play or converting first downs, which I'm saying I'm not negating, but they weren't like designed runs. I will say, first half, Bama could not stop Tennessee from could not get off the field to save their life. I mean, Tennessee for the game, 8 of 18 on third downs. Really good on third downs in the first half. And then again, second half comes and Bama just says, nope, we're not doing that anymore. Nope, not doing it. And yeah, I mean, look at this here. Are you ready for this? I always like doing the old play-by-play, drive-by-drive. First half goes Tennessee touchdown, Bama punt, Tennessee punt, Bama punt, Tennessee field goal, Alabama fumbles, Tennessee gets a field goal. That's another one. Red zone. Tennessee was down in the red zone, I believe, 3 times. I mean, I'll just check. They scored on a touchdown. 39. That was in 39 yards. So they got down in the red zone 3 times in the first half. Only one of them resulted in a touchdown. Because they were at the 20-yard line. 2 field goals ended up being really, I feel like, a big difference maker in that game, because what do good teams do against Bama that if you got to win against Bama? You got to be able to capitalize on mistakes.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to capitalize and score touchdowns and instead you're hitting field goals, that's going to be a difference maker. Because what happens, let's just say hypothetically, I'll let you want to say.
No, you're good.
Let's say hypothetically, I'm looking at, so they hit 2 field goals. What if they score 2 touchdowns there? Turn those into touchdowns. It's 21-7, 28-7 going into half.
Yeah.
You're up 21 and a half. That, you know how much difference that is sounds than going up 13 and a half?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
just
you're right.
Makes it a different game.
No, I think you're absolutely right there. I think just the I don't know if the moment got to Tennessee. Is that the right way to describe it?
I don't know if it was that. I just think
it
Bama just completely.
But something there with Tennessee, it's just like the life got sucked out of them.
I don't even know.
They just could not do
what
they were doing in the first half. They didn't score a single point in the second half.
Maybe they got too caught up with the officiating.
Yeah.
Might have been that. Like, you let that get to your head. You let silly stuff get in your head like that, then you're not going to win.
Yeah.
To beat Bama in Tuscaloosa, you need your A game.
Yeah.
And again, Bama's like Ohio State is. They are winning on defense. They are hitting 1 or 2 good deep shots. They're doing enough on offense to keep the ball moving, especially in the second half, at least, I guess. But they're playing defense. They're playing really good defense. They're keeping teams in check, and they're giving their offense a chance to do something. But Bama has a bye week this week, and then it's the big one. It's LSU. LSU also is on bye after this week. That'll be the big game. That's the big one. I mean, it's a 3-horse race right now. If Bama loses, it becomes all-out chaos.
Yeah.
Because then you have Ole Miss, who's hanging around there with 1 loss. LSU, who has 1 loss. And now Bama has 1 loss in SEC play. So LSU has the tiebreaker. Ole Miss has the tiebreaker over LSU.
Yep.
LSU would have the tiebreaker over Alabama, and Bama would have the tiebreaker over Ole Miss.
Now, I think Ole Miss would be the winner then, right?
Now this depends. Ole Miss still has a interest.
It's just hypothetically a situation. Yeah.
They would have to beat Georgia though. Probably at that point in the year, it'd be the last SEC game of the year for them. Well, no, they have Mississippi State, but at that point, I believe if they would beat Georgia at that point, if they won out, I believe they probably would have clinched the West by that point. I don't know. I'm not sure. Everything's going to play itself out.
Have 1 loss too. I just don't know. But I do think if Bama loses to LSU, then I'm pretty sure, Ole Miss would jump to the top.
If LSU needs to win out, and they need Ole Miss to lose another game.
Yep.
And so I bet you they're probably banking on Georgia to win, but you can never count out the Egg Bowl. Egg Bowl's always something you got to watch out for. Well, how crazy. So people are talking about like Big Ten, like the round robin teams, like what happens if you get a 3-way tie there. What if we get a three-way tie in the SEC West?
It's not even that crazy. It's
what if you
legitimately completely a fair thing.
got it going into like the second to last week of the year? Just
Mhm.
complete chaos. We don't know what
The
anything's going to
Iron
happen.
Bowl, the Iron Bowl will change everything.
Iron Bowl and the Egg Bowl are going to change it all. And A&M, LSU, don't forget about that one. That's a big one.
Why is that a rivalry though? I cannot wait for when that's gone and we get Texas versus A&M that weekend, and then who will LSU play?
And then if they're smart, they'll move Bama or they'll move the Texas. They should move Texas, Oklahoma to that week.
No, you got to keep.
Yeah, because you got to keep it
You keep the Cotton Bowl at the Texas State Fair, but then you make Texas A&M rivalry weekend.
True.
That works. True. But then you should force LSU and be like, you're playing Tulane.
No, play them.
You're going to Tulane Stadium,
you
buddy.
Play Auburn.
No, Alabama's playing Auburn.
Oh yeah. Well, good thing I don't make those decisions. All right, we're moving on though.
Tulane.
All right, we got two more games here. We'll quickly go right through. Miami beats Clemson with a backup quarterback. Emery Williams comes in and takes down the Tigers in double overtime. Clemson entered the fourth quarter up 10 and obviously didn't hold it.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest with you. Didn't watch much of this game. I watched overtime.
I did too.
But what I can tell you is Clemson has 3 losses before October. Dabo Swinney refused. This is a result of Dabo Swinney's stubbornness, I believe, and to use the transfer portal.
You know, I think the craziest thing about this is both of those losses you can legitimately blame on the same play call.
Yes.
They ran RPO in overtime in both of those games, and for some reason, both times.
Do you think
he
that
chose the complete wrong play? The quarterback.
Do you think that it's Garrett Riley is just system doesn't work there, or is it?
I just think he's not good at explaining it to a quarterback, like a young quarterback who doesn't get it.
So I think also though, but I also look back at what Dabo Swinney said at the beginning of the year, where he said, "Listen, he's going to bring in his plays, but it's still going to be the Clemson standard, the Clemson way." Do you think Dabo is almost holding that offense back from what it actually could be? Because you see what he was able to do with other places.
Yes,
and it was points, a lot of it. And now you come here and it's like they're not doing anything.
I also don't think that Caleb Klubnik really fits in. Cade, sorry, that's my fault. Cade Klubnik really fits an RPO offense either. I just don't think he's built for that. He's built for the pro style offense. That's why he was recruited for Clemson. That's why he came in there to run a similar offense to Trevor Lawrence. He's got a very similar build to Lawrence too.
Yeah.
You know. So I think the RPO offense is not built for his skill set.
I mean, Klubnik had a decent game, threw for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yep. No, I think he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll end up transferring. I'm telling you.
I think he'll end up transferring.
I don't know if he'll do that.
Only because here.
How about this one?
Go.
Here's your. Okay, go ahead. You say what you're gonna say.
I just think if he's gonna go here, he's gonna sit down after this season. He's gonna go, I'm not gonna win at Clemson, and I'm not gonna make scouts notice me at Clemson because there's so much turnover right now. It seems like there's so much cultural problems. If I was him, I would think there's a decent chance he probably thinks, okay, I think I'm going to transfer, and I'm going to go to like a different school that might be a little bit more quarterback friendly than offense I'm used to.
How about you go into Dabo's office at the end of the year, or you bring OC in, bring Riley in, bring Dabo in, have a meeting, and you say, listen, I have no intention of transferring. I have no intention. I love it here. This is where I want to be. However, I need weapons. I need a receiver. I need multiple. I need a receiver or 2.
Yeah.
I need something. What I have now is not going to get me where I need to be, where I want to be with the team. You need to pretty much corner Dabo into using the portal.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I know I want to be here. Like, you see what I can do. I just need someone to throw the ball to.
Yeah.
I just go find a transfer receiver. Go get someone out of the portal that can make a difference. Look what Keon Coleman's doing.
Yeah.
Okay? Look what I don't know. Jermaine Burton's doing now, finally, for Bama. I don't know. Look what Ra Thomas is doing at Georgia. He's making a difference. He's starting to finally come out some.
I mean, what's his name in Texas?
A.D. Mitchell. Look what he's
Mitchell.
doing. Look what – I mean, these teams are able to use the portal because
and there will be guys. There will be guys entering the portal this year.
Plenty of guys. Plenty. Look what Jordan Addison did when he was with Caleb Williams last year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, if you are invested enough, you will make the right move to go get someone for your quarterback. It's like in the NFL or NBA or whatever you want to say. When they want your best player needs some sort of help, you go get that to make them happy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't care if it's one single person, and that's it. Matter bank it the best person out there, because Clemson fans will not sit and settle for it. And
they won't.
I don't know if Dabo just has some personal grudge against it, if he'll retire before he uses it. But I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. I think, I also want to say, because, we are a very fair show.
We are.
Congrats to Mario Cristobal and Miami Hurricanes. Big win. More congrats to Emory Williams, because he played his butt off.
How about this padlock stat for you? Here's this big old padlock stat for you.
All right, let me hear it.
211 to 31 rushing yards Miami outgained Clemson in.
That's wild. It was not
Clemson averaged under a yard per carry. Under a yard per carry. They lost the turnover battle 33-1.
I don't get it. But this kid for Clemson, Will Shipley, right?
Will Shipley.
Legitimately?
44 yards.
He is only good against Florida State, and then he's just average.
Well, I mean, just think about when Clemson was in their heyday. Between that 2015 to 2020 stretch.
It was like 2014 to 2020. Obviously,
but like when they were winning their titles.
Yeah.
And being in the playoffs, it was what they have. Great quarterback, great receivers, and a star running back.
Yep.
And now you don't have anything.
You have the quarterback. I think you actually have the quarterback.
They have the quarterback. They don't have anybody on the outside. Yep. They don't have any difference makers. It's like a Penn State situation. Except Penn State has better players defensively and better running backs. Yeah, I think I have a better quarterback as well.
You think Corral is better than Cade Klubnik?
I think he has a better potential.
I think he's a higher ceiling, but he's not.
Right now,
I'd rather have Caleb Klubnik. Klubnik.
Long term, Klubnik or Aller?
Right now, Klubnik.
I'd rather have Aller.
I just think Klubnik, he's a little bit taller. He's a little bit better arm.
All right, ready to move on?
Yes.
All right, so again, kudos to Miami, a huge win, and now with UNC slipping for some unexplicable reason, Miami right back in the thick of things. Right back into things.
We'll see.
Well, listen, if Duke can't find a quarterback situation right now, Miami still has. I'm telling you, they're going to compete.
They got 2 ACC losses.
Okay, well, in the standings right now, I can tell you right now, NC State's not going to hold up.
Yep.
Clemson's going to lose again. Georgia Tech's not going to hold up. Boston College, Virginia Tech is going to lose. I think Louisville loses again at some point. It's real. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that they're in it right now, but like there's still, I think, a lot to play for still.
Yeah.
Games aren't played on this piece of paper. They're played on the fields.
No, you're right.
So, all right, we're going to move on to our final game that Dylan is going to talk about. Well, we can both talk about, but Oklahoma survives against UCF.
Yes.
It was the Dylan Gabriel reunion against UCF. UCF comes back, goes to Oklahoma. John Rice Plumlee comes back, and they made it a 4-quarter fight, and it came down to a failed, getting too fancy with it, 2-point conversion, where they didn't get it, then didn't get the onside kick, so Oklahoma survives 31-29. They stay on top, undefeated in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And UCF falls again. I believe that's their third conference loss already.
Yes. Yeah.
So
3 in may have been the fourth actually. It might have been their fourth conference loss.
so
But so I think they're 3-4. However, I think UCF with John Rice Plumlee under center is
it's
good
a difference maker.
It's legitimately like, you know,
It's night and day.
yeah. It's insane how noticeable it is, the fact that there's an offense and there's not an offense.
Yeah. I mean,
But
no, go ahead, finish what you were saying.
no, I was gonna say, it was a good game though to watch. I mean,
Very good game. It stole the show for the noon kick, unless you were watching
Mhm.
Air Force and Navy play in the president or the commander in chief game.
yeah. But just like I remember, I have the game on, and it starts out. I was thinking at the top of my head, there's a chance that UCF keeps us close, or they get blown the waters out of them.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were going to get blown out at first, because they start out the game with a 3-and-out and a horrible punt. Like the
They
punt
go
went
down
30 yards.
They go down 7-0, and then they score 17 unanswered and goes
Yep.
tied at half.
Mm-hmm.
And they but you know what? They won the third quarter 6-0 and then lost the fourth quarter 14-6.
Yep.
They are 0-4 in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
Not good.
Nope.
But they got West Virginia coming up this upcoming week.
Yep, and it's in Orlando, noon kickoff, fun one.
Gotta love that.
Oh yeah.
Looking at any stats here, Oklahoma, who has played very good, came in as a solid rushing team defensively. Gave up almost 150 yards on the ground, 397 in total yards. I mean, if you looked at it just like the stats, though, honestly, it would feel like Oklahoma just took advantage of this game. Like, it was not close. But UCF just kept hanging around. And what do we always say about these teams? Inferior teams that hang around, if you let them hang around, they will put you in a spot where you have to make a play or so to win the game. I mean, ask Auburn or ask Georgia how that went with Auburn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ask them how it went with South Carolina. Like, you make yourself into a 4-quarter fight when it doesn't need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, I don't know, for Oklahoma, it might be I don't want to call it a look ahead game because I haven't looked at their schedule. But they have, here we go. So they had UCF, they were at Kansas, and then you have the big one now. You have Oklahoma State as the next week after that. So I would Oklahoma should be fine. I still think that I don't know.
I think so too. I mean, I think UCF just put everything on this game.
Yeah, it was
Not
kind
too
of
much short, but
it was like it almost became one of the classic Malzahn upsets.
Oh yeah,
His
it
once
felt
a
like
year
it.
upset.
It felt like it, absolutely watching the game.
But I think UCF. It's just for UCF. It was just it's just been a tough year because with Plumlee being out, it's just been put you in it's kind of handicapped you some. You just can't do what you usually do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with Plumlee back the rest of the year, I think they finished stronger than the way they were at. All right, we're gonna move on though to Saturday scares. We're gonna quickly. This is how it's gonna go. So we're not gonna go in depth with these. I'm just gonna say, with Washington surviving late into the night, some reason I stayed up for this one. Well, I stayed up with about 5 minutes left when I realized Arizona State wasn't going to do anything. Washington wins 15-7 over ASU. They don't score a defensive touchdown. The only touchdown offensive. The only reason why they scored a touchdown is because Arizona State can't block on a field goal. They don't have a field goal kicker who can kick a field goal, so they go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the ball is thrown late and a little behind, and Washington picks it off, takes it back to the house. It was like an 89-yard pick six. That was the only at the time ASU had been winning 7-3 all the way up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it was 7-6 at that point. But ASU completely neutralized Washington. Michael Penix threw 3 picks, ugly game, and they were at home too.
Yeah.
So It wasn't even like they were on the road, at home doing this. A very scary spot there. They almost lost to a team with 1 win.
Yep.
A team that, like, UNC did lose to a team with 1 win. North Carolina lost. They also got scared, but this time they
dropped their pants.
Yeah, they dropped their
They
pants.
Dropped their pants and
they lost to Virginia. That's just an unexcusable loss.
Yeah.
A game you cannot lose. I don't care.
Embarrassing loss.
It's embarrassing. Kudos to Virginia. Tony Elliott gets his first win of the year in the ACC. But you just can't lose a game to Virginia. Yeah. And it wasn't even like a game where they turned the ball over at all.
Yep.
They just
sucked.
They just played lackluster football all game long.
Yeah.
And it happened on the CW too. What did we say last week with or was it 2 weeks ago with Louisville?
You don't want to play on the CW.
Yeah.
Because you're going to lose. You're going to get embarrassed in front of nobody because nobody's watching the CW.
So now, I mean, you look at UNC where they're still ranked top 25, but it's like, all right, maybe, Pac-12, like, or ACC, like, maybe looking at playoff contender. But now you lose to UNC. You can't, Virginia.
You lose to Virginia, and now you're a joke.
And Virginia's offensive line, it's not a bad offensive line. And North Carolina was not able to do anything with it.
Yeah.
And you still have a bunch of better lines to play later this year. So is this like almost like a Miami effect where Miami lost just an inexcusable loss, and then hadn't dropped the next game after, or will UNC be able to counter this? So it was the classic North Carolina, though. Classic Tar Heel, just drop, trap game, lose. Every year they do it.
Not just lose, but get embarrassed while doing it.
Yeah, it's to the team that they should have no business losing either.
The Mac Brown special.
Yeah. Texas holds on against Houston in another game. They were a 23.5-point favorite at Houston. Yep. Quinn Ewers gets banged up late in the game, too. He's out for a couple weeks with a sprained shoulder. They win 31-24 with the generous spot from the refs. It looked like Houston got the first down, and they didn't, and then Houston didn't get the fourth down conversion. So they got bailed out there. But Texas, another team in the Big 12 that got just a scary spot, but held on. All right.
I do want to say before we move on, I did say that Houston would cover the spread last week.
There we go. Let's give Dylan.
I did say that spread's way too big. Houston's going to cover that.
Well, nice job, Dylan.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to overreaction or no. I have 4 statements this week.
Okay.
And we'll get right into it. So, you get a drink real quick.
My water, I drank it all too quickly, man. I'm so thirsty.
I got to go with the Yeti. All right, Missouri, Dylan, is a legit threat in the SEC.
Yes, not an overreaction.
Not an overreaction.
I mean, they've done it. They've beaten teams. They've taken teams to the wire. I mean, they've done everything you've needed to be a legit contender in the SEC right now. I think their only competition really is Georgia in the East. Because, obviously that. But Georgia without Brock Bowers, we have to really see what they look like against Florida this weekend. But if they look mortal, I mean.
It sets up a showdown, assuming Georgia wins this weekend. I'm hoping they do. But assuming they win, it sets up a colossal showdown in Athens next week.
Yeah.
It's already announced at the 3:30 kick on CBS. Unfortunately, it's not going to be like the 18. I think it'll be the B team calling the game. But because Bama and LSU get the nightcap.
Yep.
Which is just outrageous. You 2 teams with a 1 and 2 losses get. No, that's besides the fact. Anyway. Sets up a huge showdown between an explosive offenses. I feel like 2 pretty explosive offenses.
Yeah.
Biggest question I still have in Missouri is I still need to see, I think, a tad bit more from that defense. They've been playing a little better since that LSU game. But playing better. But I just want to see them against another big offense because Kentucky, let's be honest, Kentucky and South Carolina aren't that.
No.
So they get a bye this week and then they get Georgia. So huge games coming up for the East.
Yes.
All right. Utah is still the king of the Pac-12 until proven
Until further
otherwise.
notice, not enough reaction. Yes.
Yes, agree.
I mean, you know, it's like taking the title away from Conor McGregor before he loses a fight. Like, come on, you got to see what happened first.
It's just always funny every year. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's always about like Oregon, USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon State. Like all these teams are gonna be here, and then who's always shows up when it matters the most? Who shows up at in Vegas for the Pac-12 title game?
Yep.
Utah.
The mighty Mormons.
The mighty Mormons celebrating with club soda and water. So
how God meant for you to celebrate.
That's right, he did. Praise God. Texas, Dylan, should be concerned about the future without Quinn Ewers behind center.
Overreaction.
Overreaction. Okay.
I think they just have so much depth, and with having a coach like Steve Sarkisian, I do believe he could prepare the backup to be ready for an extended set. I mean, just throwing back to last year when Hudson Card had to come in versus Alabama, he almost won them that game.
He did.
I mean, it's like a lot of people don't like to talk about, but Hudson Card kept that game within a 3-point spread.
It's just only game I get worried for them is that Kansas State game because Kansas State's playing a lot better football right now.
Yeah,
and
I want to see Arch Manning. Like, legitimately, I believe if when they play BYU this week, and if Arch Manning gets some time in there and he looks great, I mean, who knows from there, right?
Yeah,
because from what I've heard, he's looked good in practice.
All right, final one here. Worst loss. This is more not really even overreaction. It's just a general question. Worst loss, in my opinion, is it Tennessee or blowing a 13-point lead and getting shut out in the second half? And the way that they did it, too.
Yeah.
Or is it North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Okay.
Because it's just like you're having the best season in program history up until this point.
Yeah.
I mean, not trying to, legitimately, they just came out with the fact that this is the most games they've ever won to start a year.
Yeah. I will lean. I'll say North Carolina too, but I'll say for Tennessee, it was a playoff game.
Yeah.
You had to win this if you wanted to stay alive. You're up, and then like clockwork, you give up a touchdown within the first minute of the half, and then you completely get shut down.
Yep.
Just can't happen in a game like that where you have to win. You have your opponent on the ropes. And you can't do anything in that second half. But, yeah, like you said, North Carolina, best start in school history in either ever or in just a while. And you lose to Virginia. Just, no.
Yeah.
They can't have it. All right. Move on to our final segment here of the night.
Yes.
Winners and losers of the week, as they always are here on this great Tuesday or closing in on that early Wednesday hour.
Yep.
Winners for me, it's Utah. They just keep on winning, chugging along. Pig farmer Bryson Barnes, chugging along. And Ollie Gordon for Oklahoma State. So if you haven't heard of Ollie Gordon, he is the Oklahoma State running back. And my man went to Morgantown and chose violence on Saturday. He had, I'm going to pull up the exact stat here. Where is it? Here we go. Let's find it real quick. Perfect. Okay, here we go. He had 29 carries, 282 yards, 4 touchdowns. Okay, he averaged, I'm going to find it here. He averaged 9.7 yards a carry. He averaged a first down pretty much a carry against West Virginia, a tough one for West Virginia, but that's not the pack. Ollie Gordon, I watched that entire game, and he completely dominated that one. So kudos to those two.
That's a good pick. So I said Alabama.
Okay.
just coming out and just dominating in that second half against Tennessee really set the tempo, brings you back into the bigger picture of this season, being able to rebound since your loss to Texas. I mean, just the way they won, that's just fantastic way to win. And my other winner was Emory Williams, backup quarterback for Miami, coming in and just winning against Clemson for the first time since, 1955 at home?
Yeah, it's at 56.
56 at home. I mean, that's a fantastic thing to do. Like that's the best way they could have done it.
For sure. Who are your losers of the week?
So my losers were number 1, Jim Harbaugh. I mean, you're watching your program fall apart right in front of you.
And he won't say a thing about it.
He can't. He can't say anything about it.
No.
And then my other loser was USC. Not because they lost the game, but because the possibility that if Lincoln Riley is looking at an NFL job, which I've heard rumors, then
why would, if you're an NFL GM, why in the heck would you even take on him as a head?
I don't know, man. Why did Cliff Kingsbury get a head coaching job after winning 7 games a year in college football?
I don't know.
What were your losers, man?
My losers would be North Carolina for
Yep.
Saturday, the loss to Virginia. Just can't have it, like I keep saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then Caleb Williams.
Okay.
I think it snapped a 21 game streak of his where he had at least a touchdown. Mm-hmm. No touchdowns, no picks, but 260 yards or 265 yards, I believe, was the number he rounded out as. Mm-hmm. They needed a big performance out of him. They didn't get one again, another lackluster one.
Yeah.
And I just don't think his head's going to be in it now the rest of the way. I think that entire team, I think you're going to start seeing Lincoln Riley start losing that locker room. So, especially with some of the games coming up, mm-hmm. I just don't see them. I think they lose at least 1, maybe 2 more games. And yeah, I mean, this was the game that showed when the defense can't hold up and Williams is not playing well, they are lost.
Yeah.
And just think about if Cam Rising was back, how much more probably a difference that game, even if it's that close. You know what I mean? If they don't throw a pick 6, it's not even near where it was. So, Caleb Williams was my loser. You say
that's completely fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both had USC too. I had USC and Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, that's right. I was getting something ready to the. I was getting the title ready for the when I post this later. So.
No, you're good.
All right. So we have finally gotten through it. Not like I was waiting, but
yeah.
No. Listen, I enjoy this. I do look forward to this every week, which is awesome. So remember, subscribe, watch us on YouTube, listen on Spotify, subscribe to both. Remember, we were trying to get to 100 subs. We're at 64 on YouTube. So keep going there. Thursday, as usual, Thursday evening is when the preview pod will be out. So make sure you're watching that. Make sure you guys are watching the recap. Well, the recap video has been doing really well the last couple of weeks. So that's awesome.
Yes.
And yeah.
And I think we're going to talk about it off stream a little bit. Next Tuesday, the rankings come out.
Oh, I forgot
College football rankings come out. I was thinking maybe we could do a little live reaction.
Live reaction. Well, I have work. We'll just do the normal one and we'll just talk about it after.
That's fair.
I like the idea, Dylan. Like your mindset right there. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
It's all right. Sorry about that. It's good. It was good in theory. Just poor execution.
All right, man.
All right. Make sure you guys are watching. We'll see you Thursday. Peace out.
See you guys.